Hello and welcome. Oh boy, we all know why you're here. You got stranded in some parking lot with a no start condition. And you're wondering what the heck this is. Well, you're going to find out if you don't know already. This is the starter relay solenoid. I have a 1990 Jeep Cherokee. It's a remix flavor. They made that for 3 years, 87 to 90. And this relay was used in many other vehicles as well too. This is my original. This is what I pulled out. And as I was going through the process of removing all the wires and the connectors, I broke the tab to the starter motor. So I had to get a replacement. And this is a common one out there. Made in Taiwan. Surprised not from that other place that everything comes from. Let me just pull that out of the box. Let's take a look at the new one. Well, there it is. You know, I was initially surprised at the weight of this. You know, it seems to be heavier than my original. That's rather surprising. Usually everything's made cheaper and lighter. But this particular one felt heavier. Which, to me, sounds like there's there's not cheap plastic components in there, so. And I've got a functional tab there. I initially thought of trying to repair this unit, and I probably still may do that, and I'll have this as a backup. I'll probably solder on a wire here, put a connector on it, and that way it can still be used. I guess while I'm here, I've got these tabs removed. Want to take a look inside? See what's actually in there? Well, let's do that. There it is. Said it was a solenoid relay. There's a relay. Not a whole bunch to it, and this, this has been a sealed unit for 35 years, and it's nice and clean. Resistor in there. So, as I mentioned right off the top, that I got stuck with a no-start condition. Had to spend $200 to get towed home, not to a dealership where they'd probably charge me $2,000 to try and troubleshoot and figure out what's going on. Didn't have $2,000, so got it towed home and figured it out on my own with the help of the internet. So, where does this live? This is just one part of a troubleshooting a no start, but it's a very important part. Let's go take a look and see where this lives in my Jeep. So, we're in the garage. Looking at the battery here, As part of this particular issue, I did some refreshing on the wires, positive and negative, and I added in an extra negative connection here. Four gauge wire. Put on some new battery terminals. I like these better than what we see normally stock wise. I like these kind of connections where I don't have to use a crescent wrench or something like that. I can put a socket on there and get down to these connectors. So I cut off the end there and I put on crimped on some new copper terminals. Scraped away a little bit of the paint. So this particular wire goes to the starter motor, and this one here goes directly to the starter solenoid relay. So battery, starter motor, relay, and from this relay it goes everywhere. So if we have problems in this area, which can easily happen, this vehicle's 35 years, and the starter relay is right there. So it's a little difficult to get in. You know, I've got these interconnections here. They get in the way. So I found that working on the relay, it's easiest if I just pull the whole battery and get this all out of the way so that I can have easier access. It's difficult to get in there. Okay, there's a better view of the starter relay. Still can't get a good shot of it head on. But I've got a junkyard pull in there that I picked up years ago, and found out that it's got a problem. But it's still usable. So in the meantime, while I was waiting for my crown unit to come in, I had installed this unit here. Found out that that's probably why it ended up in a junkyard, because it was unoperational. So the Jeep wouldn't start, and that's probably why it ended up in the junkyard. So what I've got here is this particular wire. This is the starter motor wire. And there's two green wires here, and you're kind of wondering, what the heck, why do I got two greens? This one, the one I noticed to figure out what a difference is, this is a heavier gauge. And this makes sense because this is going to be more current needed for the starter motor, and so that's how I differentiate. So what I do with this particular module is, for me to start my vehicle now, I have to put the key in ignition, turn it into the run position, and then come over here, take this wire and jumper it to the main stud. Then it'll fire up. The sensor connection on that starter relay, there's a defect there. Probably just a broken wire, as we saw with the earlier unit I pulled off. There's not a whole lot there. So I had this all installed and I wasn't going to pull it off to just check that out. It's a lot of work to get in there and do all this. Simple, but it's very difficult to get in there and work in there. So these are all very important steps. Checking power connections, checking ground. As I mentioned, this ground wire, no, not that, that's positive, that's to the starter motor, but this ground wire goes to the ground on the block and at the bottom of that dipstick. Let's see if I can get in there and get a better look at that. Oh man, it's hard to get in here. Alright, right in the center of the screen, there is the ground connection for many wires right on the engine block there, including that ground right from the battery. That is definitely also a point of concern that you'll have to get in there and clean up the connection. There is some difficulty with that as well. At the end of that stud, there's what is called a e-Torx. It's a reverse Torx. So, what is a e-Torx? I never had any of these sockets in my toolkit until now. I've never had the need, but I need it now. This particular set I got off Amazon. Cost me about $15, which isn't too bad. And that particular connector, these are all labeled as we see here. E4 to E20. And that connector was a E8. Okay, well, having said all of that, let's get this relay installed and hopefully not have to worry about it for another 35 years. Things you can check with this relay. Here's our positive. There's numerous fusible links here to get installed. You can take an ohm meter, measure between these two pins, 22, 23 ohms. This one here goes to the resistor. that one right there. I've got one disconnected. But that's also a point of failure as well too. Of course, you're going to want to have this to look at. That's directly from the service manual. And I believe for my particular vehicle, this is downloadable for free. Free is a good price. I bought a hard copy many years ago, so I've got that. But having this pinout is very important. I printed this off from all data. If you don't have a manual or can't get it, they've got all the information there for a fee, of course. Okay, enough talking. Let me get this installed.